the powers of the presidential in the wake of COVID-19. Zimbabweans have welcomed the return of the US dollar in the country's business industry to ease COVID-19 pandemic pressure. Tunisian government plans to reduce the price of fuel after the global market witnessed significant drop on oil price. This and more coming on The World Today. Hello, this is iAfrica TV and it is 1700 GMT here in our studios in Banjul. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Of course, we begin with matters of the National Assembly because the motion through which the Gambia government sought to extend the state of public emergency has been forwarded for scrutiny before the National Assembly Select Committee for Human Rights and Constitutional Matters. Having registered 4 cases of the coronavirus with 1 death and 2 recoveries, the country is confirmed within a state of emergency to enable government to do all it has to prevent disaster as a result of the COVID-19. But members of the National Assembly argued that the constitutional powers implemented by the president needed to be checked before anything else. For more of that, we go with this report.
The motion for the extension of state of public emergency by the government before the National Assembly could not proceed today because the National Assembly has forwarded it to a committee stage. Meanwhile, the Assembly argues that the motion should be forwarded to the Select Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters. It could be recalled that the President of the Republic of the Gambia declared a state of public emergency to put all attention on the fight against coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. The extent of this public emergency could last as long as 7 days in a case where the Assembly is in session. When it is not in session, then it could go for 21 days. But having the National Assembly in session, the state of emergency declared by the President should have ended on Friday, meaning today should have been the last day for the effectiveness of the state of emergency. For this, government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Justice moved the motion for the National Assembly to consider extension of the state of emergency for 90 days.
I beg to move that this August Assembly approve and extend for a period of 90 days, effective 3rd April 2020, the state of public emergency in the whole of the Gambia, declared by His Excellency President Adama Barrow.
The National Assembly is now interested to know the condition through which the President declared a state of emergency using the constitutional powers vested in him by the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia.
We should refer this to the committee to look at all the elements to see whether the law was complied with. That is the purpose of the motion.
However, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Batambedu informed the National Assembly that the President's proclamation were gazetted, even though the National Assembly was not privileged to any copy of the gazette until this morning.
The proclamations have been gazetted, and all we need to do is reach out to the Gambia Printing House. Maybe we should have made this available to you, but they have been gazetted. That's the first statement of fact I want to establish.
The purpose of the extension of the state of emergency, according to the Minister of Justice, was to give government all powers to do all it has to do to prevent the death of even one Gambian. As we speak, it is only the Select Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters that can decide as to what is the way forward, whether the President was in line in all his pronouncements or not. And that is to be discussed on Friday morning here at the National Assembly in Banjul.
I am announcing the results.
Procedure.
The ayes,
Honorable Speaker,
36 votes, the noes 11. So the ayes have it. So the debate is therefore adjourned till tomorrow at 10 o'clock. But in the meantime, the committee will meet immediately.
As it is now, the declaration of public state of emergency has kept people indoors, with many people wondering as to the way forward now. How will they continue to survive indoors? These are questions that the extension will have to factor out. So far, Gambia has registered 4 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 1 death and 2 recovered and discharged. For iAfrica TV, I'm Ibrahim Presba.
That is our man Ibrahim Presba reporting live from the National Assembly in Banjul, where today's sittings were adjourned to tomorrow. Now to South Africa, where the South African credit rating downgrade may not have come at a tougher time than now due to the negative effects of the coronavirus, according to the finance minister. Private sector businesses have given different reaction to the news with the hope of an active political reaction, while related rating agencies want the government to deal with the inefficiency of the state-owned institution. Let's have more details of that in this report.
South African Finance Minister Tito Mboweni says the downgrade couldn't have come at a worse time. Many agree with him.
I honestly am not particularly optimistic about South Africa's fiscal position, because we know that tax collection is very weak and is going to be absolutely terrible for the time being. We are seeing all sorts of horror stories from around the economy about how everybody wants to declare force majeure on each other. And I am particularly concerned that corporates might start doing the same with regard to SARS.
The situation will be most apparent in the global bond markets, where passive asset managers investing to their mandates will have to get out of sub-investment grade countries like South Africa.
That said, I am excited about the possibility that the downgrade could be a catalyst for structural reform. And we have already seen some of our politicians and some of our policymakers leaning in.
One of the recommendations from the ratings agencies is for government to deal with the inefficient state-owned entities and cut its bloated public sector wage bill. This includes police officers and teachers.
And then right in the middle, we've got the real ham in the sandwich, which is our healthcare workers who are under, kind of dire risk of personal infection. So it's very tough to imagine that the government is going to wade into that environment and announce a whole lot of aggressive, financial cuts and wage cuts.
But there may be some good news when it comes to the rebalancing of the world global bond market. Due to the coronavirus, South Africa will not be removed from the index until the end of April. So passive managers will stay invested for another 30 days.
But I suspect that you may have active managers who are with more of a speculative view, who are likely to jump in and enjoy the very, very, very rich yields that they would be getting from a sub-investment grade rated bond.
Interestingly, the overwhelming news flow concerning the coronavirus has distracted investors' attention.
The translation directly into the markets is often blurred by a lot of the other noise that we're seeing coming out. And so government's response and government's actions around COVID and around stimulating the economy genuinely creates for us an opportunity for government to lean in and influence positively the response by investors towards this downgrade.
As the market, investors and traders digest the downgrade that happened a couple of days ago, it's still early days, and it's going to depend on how long we're in this coronavirus cycle before the government can actually start doing something about getting us back into investment grade.
From the report there in South Africa, next we come back home because Gambia's Health and Social Welfare Minister Dr. Ahmed Lamin Samate Wednesday evening confirmed the recovery and discharge of 2 of the 3 Gambian treated of COVID-19 pandemic. He said the first case patient, a 28-year-old female Gambian from the United Kingdom, and the third case, a 71-year-old Gambian from France, have now reunited with their families after the treatment, while the only 1 case patient left in receiving care at the government treatment center. For more of that, we go with this report by Aminata Job.
Health and Social Welfare Minister Dr. Ahmed Lamin Samate Wednesday evening announced the recovery and discharge of 2 of the 3 Gambians treated of COVID-19 pandemic. They are a 28-year-old female Gambian who was the first case patient from the United Kingdom and 71-year-old man from Numiel in the Upper River region who entered the country from France. He said the only one case patient left is now receiving care at a government treatment center. So far, Gambia registered 4 cases of the virus on 3 of its nationals and a Bangladeshi who entered the country from Senegal. He was confirmed to have contracted the virus after his death. The other 3 cases were all imported from the United Kingdom and France. Minister Samate told journalists at the ministry's daily briefing that 2 consecutive tests on the recovered case patients have proved negative.
By way of recent updates, all 5 recent laboratory test results received from yesterday till today are all negative. Now, this includes the lab test for the first diagnosed COVID-19 case in the Gambia and the 3rd diagnosed COVID-19 case in the Gambia as well. Now, these tests have been negative. Now, as per the WHO guidelines, the 2 consecutive negative tests for each of these individuals is a confirmation of recovery. So I repeat, the 1st and the 3rd COVID-19 cases in the Gambia are declared to have recovered from the disease, as confirmed by the 2 consecutive negative tests going by the guidelines. And these individuals have been discharged from the hospitals.
The health minister further stated that since the beginning of the pandemic in the Gambia, all the 4 confirmed cases were imported with no indication of local transmission, saying that is an important opportunity for the entire country to work together. He appealed to Gambians to continue abiding by the health advice to prevent local transmission, saying globally, over 850,000 in over 200 countries and territories have contracted the virus with 42,000 deaths.
However, we want to emphasize, this does not give any room for complacency. This means we should still be as vigilant as possible. People recovering doesn't mean that we should take the disease lightly, because we know that the mortalities associated with the COVID-19 is increasing worldwide with increase in the case fatality rate. The country currently has only 1 active case, but as we all remember, cumulatively we've had 4 positive cases, 4 confirmed cases. Currently we have only 1 patient who is receiving care in the government treatment center.
He also encouraged the general public to stay together in the fight to defeat COVID-19 and to report any suspected case through the free toll number 1025, saying the more people commit themselves to the challenges, the better for everyone. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Aminata Job.
And from the report on the situation of the coronavirus in the country as of yesterday, of course, reported by Aminata Job, where 2 Gambians were released out of the 3 patients of COVID-19, and we look forward to today's update from the Ministry of Health. With that, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Zimbabwe Central Bank has reintroduced the use of the US dollar currency due to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the country's economy. The country's economy was in the state of agony before the emergency of the deadly global health-threatening virus. Economists have welcomed the move, and the country's highest financial institution has reduced the lending rate from 35 to 25% to inspire more borrowing. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Just weeks after claiming de-dollarization was on course, the central bank has made a dramatic about turn by allowing the use of the US dollar again.
This is actually a tacit admission by the government that the Zimbabwean dollar has had disastrous consequences on the local economy. It's another case of policy inconsistency. However, it's a welcome move for the local productive sector. We have been feeling the pinch of inflation.
The measure is seen as an attempt to mobilize foreign currency held outside the formal channels. Central bank reserves, which are drawn from export revenues, have been stripped down to a minimum due to COVID-19 induced disruptions. However, the reintroduction of a pegged exchange rate could militate against efforts to mop up the greenback and fuel further activity on the parallel market.
People do have US dollars. If you look at the informal sector and a lot of the SME sector, they do have the US dollars, but they will not go and buy at TM if the rate is going to be 1:25. If the rate was a market rate or people were allowed to set market rates, then the strategy can work in terms of mobilizing those US dollars.
What it effectively means is that we will have less liquidity on the interbank market, because all the formal businesses that have been actually liquidating their foreign currency process on the interbank market see losses, because you can be able to liquidate on the black market and gain more.
Critics argue it's futile for the central bank to try to set an exchange rate when it doesn't have the foreign currency reserves to back it up. The country's apex bank has also lowered its benchmark lending rate from 35 to 25% to try and stimulate more borrowing and thus activity in an economy that was already in distress before the coronavirus outbreak and which is now likely to see further decline after it.
From the report there in the Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, next we head to North Africa and in Tunisia, to be precise, because Tunisians have welcomed the news of the government plans to reduce fuel price amid the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Government said the latest move is necessitated due to the significant drop of the oil price this month. With the country on lockdown, fuel stations are also witnessing business reduction during this period. For more of that, we go with this report.
Tunisian authorities announced that this possible reduction in prices also comes as a result of the evaluation of average prices within the framework of the automatic and quarterly adjustment mechanism of hydrocarbon prices.
The committee in charge of the automatic adjustment of prices at the Ministry of Energy will be in charge of evaluation of current prices on the international market and the impact on prices on the domestic market at the end of March.
Crude oil prices have declined significantly this month, impacting the prices of petroleum products in Tunisia. Gas stations across the country have reported a sharp reduction in their activity.
We've seen only a dozen of cars since the beginning of the general lockdown and the curfew over the coronavirus crisis. We used to have over 1,000 cars per day. We are losing money every day because people are avoiding to use their cars.
The automatic oil price adjustment mechanism was put in place in July 2016. It is not based on the price per barrel of crude oil, but on the prices of petroleum products after refining. More than 70% of these products are imported. Consumers have welcomed lower prices.
We will be paying less for our energy. This is the only good news after coronavirus outbreak. However, people stay at home and avoid taking taxis out of fear of infection.
The state budget for 2020 was made on the basis of $50 per barrel of crude oil for the first quarter of this year. The automatic price adjustment mechanism is not based on a monthly review of hydrocarbon prices, but on a quarterly review. The Minister of Energy pointed to the possibility of adopting a monthly automatic adjustment system of hydrocarbon prices. The objective is to apply this mechanism from May 2020 in order to take advantage of falling oil prices on the international market.
The Tunisian government there plans to reduce the, of course, fuel price in the country, of which the citizens have welcomed the news. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you on this news bulletin for now. But for more on this and other stories, you can log on our website, iafrica.tv. Once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company, and bye for now.
alhamdulilah mbokk yi lii nga xam ne moom mooy Covid-19 bii mi ngi lëmbee àdduna si yëpp mu am solo pour ñëpp xam ne lu am la am na ba tax na la ñuy wax naka jekk mooy bul loru waaye bul nangoo lore li nga bëggal sa bopp ci mucc na nga ko bëggal sa morom ci mucc bu ko defee ñun ñëpp ñu ànd mucc mbir la moo xam ne nag lañ ci wax dëgg-dëgg mooy jëfe ndigal yi bàyyi tere yi mi ngi war a jógee ko ci ñi nga xam ne seen xam-xam màcc na ci wàllu faj moom mooy docteur yi nee nañu di raxasu waxtu bu nekk nee nañu moytu mbooloo yi daje dañ koy joxante foofa gis nga doomu jàngoro bi nekkul luy dox nit ñee koy toxal mu jógee ci nit dem ci nit kon loolu moo tax ñuy wax ne nañu moytu ndaje bi ak ndaje bu mu mënti doon dañuy wax ne daw bëri ci kat ci njàmbaar la bokk kon nañu góorgóorlu nañuy raxas suñuy loxo nañuy moytu daje yi ngir yàlla ak yonent ba képp koo xam ne nag gis nga sa bopp lu mel ni socc wala saqat ak yu ni mel mën ngaa woo 1025 nombre boobu moom ngay woo ñu wax la loo xam ne daa aju na ci li lay dimbale incha allah rabbi yal nañ mucc de salaamaaleykum wa rahmatulah